Okay, biology students, today we're going to be talking about types of selection. So we've learned about natural selection, but now we're going to dig one step deeper and talk about the different types of natural selection. I want to preface this lesson by telling you that this is the first time I've used this program, and I'm only using my mouse. I don't have a drawing pad or anything, so if it takes me a little while or if the drawings are really bad, I'm sorry. Okay. So that being said, let's jump into this. So the first type of selection I want to talk about is stabilizing selection. So we define stabilizing selection. It's a type of selection that eliminates extremes when the average expressions of a trait lead to higher fitness. All right, so right now that seems like a lot of big words. What does this mean? We'll break it down. I'm going to use an example. But first, I want to make sure that we really understand what fitness means. Okay, this is really important in biology. So when I say fitness, I'm not talking about running or something. We're talking about an organism's reproductive success. So if a trait leads to higher fitness, that means that trait allowed them to not be eaten and to survive to a point where they could reproduce and have babies, pass on their genes, right? Inheritance. So to kind of learn this, I'm going to give an example with insects. All right, so I'll let you know right now that this isn't like a real life example. I don't know if this is actually a real study. I'm kind of just making this up, but I think it's really helpful for understanding these types of selection. All right, so stabilizing selection. Let's say this square, this box, rectangle, whatever you want to call it, is our environment. This is this insect's ecosystem. All right, well, so the ecosystem is gray, but we're going to be having some insects, again, these are all the same species, some insects are going to have a gene that allows them to be black. So these are going to be black insects. Some, remember, of the same species, let's say they have a mutation or something, they're going to be white. So there's different variation within species, right? So these insects are going to be white. Now let's say another type of this species, insect, and I'm not going to draw dots here because you wouldn't be able to see them. But let's say another type of this insect was gray, all right? So I'm actually drawing some dots. Can't really see them. I don't know why I'm doing it. But the point is, let's say we have predators. So I'm going to draw a bird, right? Caw, caw, caw. I don't know, being goofy. So this bird is a predator to this insect. Which insects do you think this bird is going to be able to see in this gray environment? All right, if you answered black or white, you would be correct, right? So we're going to say that this bird came down and it ate those white and those black insects. So all that were left were, and maybe didn't eat all of them. Let's say there's one or two left. It's okay. But most of the insects that were left are gray. So this is really important. So I saw this a lot in our last assessment, and we didn't quite understand this. So the insects are not adapting to the environment. Okay, those black insects did not choose, oh, there's a bird and my environment is gray. I should, magically turn gray. That's not how it works, okay? They get eaten, and the ones that had the trait to make them gray already pass on their traits. All right? So that's stabilizing. What does this look like on a graph? All right, so over here I have a little graph with the trait and the number of organisms in that environment. And so we have two extremes, right, when we're talking about stabilizing. So one of the extremes in our insects was a black color, so I'm just going to draw a B. Again, sorry, it's really bad. Our other extreme was white. And then those with the average, or the middle one, was gray. All right, so in a normal population, we see a bell curve. So again, really terrible line, but something like that. Well, in stabilizing selection, if this environment was gray, those black and white insects are being eaten. So what we're going to see, and I'm going to draw in a different color, I'll do a light green, is over time, there are going to be a lot more gray insects because they're able to live and pass on their genes, and much fewer white and black, right? Does that make sense? So this is stabilizing selection. Awesome. All right, I'm going to erase this real quick. So maybe take a second to draw that before I erase it. All right, thank you for being patient. All right, cool. Stabilizing. Got it done. All right, next we're gonna have directional selection. So this is where we have selection towards one extreme when that trait makes an organism more fit. Again, fitness, able to pass on their genes, reproduce. So for this example, we're going to say that the ecosystem, the habitat, is black. So I'm going to cover all this, make it black. All right. Give me a second to fill it in. Sorry, this is probably really boring to watch. All right, so we have this black environment, right? And some of our insects, like we said earlier, are going to be gray. Remember, they're all in the same species. Some of them are going to be white. And some of them are going to be black. All right, again, you're not going to see the black ones, which is the whole point. That bird is also not going to be able to see the black ones. And so what ends up happening is that bird ends up selecting towards, so there's a directional push towards black insects, towards one extreme. This one's a little easier to think about. So earlier, I'm going to draw in our normal bell curve. So remember, in a normal environment, probably going to look like this. Directional selection, similar curve, but it's going to be going towards one extreme. All right, so there are going to be a lot more black insects being chosen for. Great examples of this would be beak length based off of the available nuts. There are lots of great examples I'd love to talk about in class with you sometime. But that right there is directional selection. I think this one is sort of the easiest to comprehend, to think about. But lastly, we are going to talk about disruptive selection. All right, disruptive selection is a little different. And for this example, this is where it gets a little unrealistic. I'm going to make a habitat. Let's say this habitat was black and white. All right, again, it's sort of unrealistic, but it's going to help you remember it. So let's say in this specific habitat, some areas of it are black, some of it are white. Okay. So remember, we have our black insects, and those insects, if they're in the white, they're probably going to get eaten, right? So those are probably going to go hang out in the black area. So you can't see, but I'm drawing some black insects over here. Same with our white insects. They're probably not going to hang out in the black areas because they'll be seen. So they're going to go in the white areas. All right, again, you can't see, but they're hidden. But then we have our average trait, remember? And our gray ones, it doesn't matter where these insects go, the bird can see them. That's a problem, all right? Because then this bird's going to come down, and the bird is going to, ooh, that is not what I wanted. That's the eraser. It's going to eat it. All right, you get the picture. I'm not going to cover them up. But basically, this is selection towards two extremes. So in this scenario, it is better to be black or white and not gray, all right, not the average. So I just drew our normal bell curve. So in this instance, it's going to look something like this. So we're going to increase our white insects, and then we're going to really decrease our gray. Going to increase the survival of our black insects and decrease. All right, so that's what a disruptive selection looks like. It almost looks like an M. All right, hopefully this video was somewhat helpful. I would love to talk to you about maybe other examples that might click better for you, but feel free to ask me any questions about this in class. All right, thanks for listening.